everyone, and welcome to the Enlightened Mind podcast. My name is Garret.
I'm Melissa.
And this is our very first episode.
I'm really excited.
I'm excited too. This is pretty exciting. It's
Yeah.
taken a lot to get here, get us to doing this episode.
Yeah, it's a little bit of planning. Most of it's trial and error, but I'm excited to dig in and get to the fun stuff because it's all been work so far.
Yes, it has been, but it's good to finally just be doing it.
Yeah.
And not just planning, but just kind of like jumping into it. And
I think that's really the best way to learn, like immersion learning.
Yeah.
You know, like people say if you want to learn another language, you have to immerse yourself in it. You just go to Italy and learn the language. Like you just flop around like a fish.
Well, it doesn't hurt to go to kind of get an idea before.
Well, yeah.
But yeah. So, in this episode today, we're going to talk about something that I find is pretty important, and it's something that I've struggled with for a long time myself, and I'm sure you probably have as well, and that is anxiety. And anxiety is something that affects everybody at some point in time in their life, but for some, it affects them more.
Yeah, there's different levels.
Yeah. There's, everybody gets anxious about something, whether it's an upcoming test or something like that. You're going to feel some anxiety there, sure. But there's a point where it becomes consuming. It kind of starts taking over yourself. It makes it difficult to concentrate, focus on anything, and it starts affecting your quality of life.
Yeah, I would say that your anxiety level is a lot more severe than mine. My anxiety level is borderline, like anxiety/stress. Like I don't know where the line is between those two. It's a very thin line, I think.
Yeah, stress and anxiety, they tend to kind of work together, and they produce a lot of the same symptoms, and they usually come at the same time in response to stressful situations.
Yeah, I remember when I had to drive from Southern Oregon to Northern Oregon by myself in the snow with my dog, and I was freaking out because, first of all, it was super icy and I wasn't comfortable driving in that weather, and then the severeness of my anxiety and the stressfulness of that situation actually triggered a physical response in my body, and I ended up getting hives because of it. And that was awful experience. But so that's why I kind of associate anxiety and stress together, because that's like the most traumatic experience that I've had that mixed those two emotions together.
Yeah, and some people will feel more physical symptoms than others, perhaps, depending on the situation, of course. But I feel a lot of anxiety when driving as well. Most of my life, I grew up in the country, lived in the country, didn't have much traffic, and so living in the city, it gives me a lot of anxiety being on the road, but it's getting better. It just takes working on it, which is what I'm doing, and a lot of people are, and it takes time. But I mean, in the world that we live in now, it's kind of hard. It almost seems like mental health, like anxiety issues, are more prevalent today with how much is going on in the world. The news is always seems like most of the news stories is negative stuff. It's kind of incites some fear in you, whether one side or the other, whatever news station you're watching. It seems like it's just a lot of negativity. It shows all these bad things going on, and people see that, or they read news articles or talk to people, and it gives them anxiety just thinking that there's all this conflict going on. They see on the news of all these different bad things happening, like different shootings that keep going on.
So do you think that people are more anxious, like relatively, it seems like people are more anxious these days because there's more bad news? Or do you think people are just more aware of their feelings, so they're just expressing it more than suppressing it like maybe they have been?
Well, I think it's probably both, especially now with social media, that
No,
And now
definitely.
it gives them more of a platform now than it did, say, even 50 years ago, whatever, to talk about this stuff with other people. And but it's also at the same time, it's where a lot of these articles and other news stories are being popped up onto the social media feeds, that such and such shooting happened again, or just all this stuff on negativity. And it doesn't really help the situation any with people. I mean, it's just a constant threat of terror attacks and
That's why I don't watch the news. I just avoid it altogether, so I don't even have to worry about it. Like, I live in my bubble, and yes, things are important outside of that bubble, but I'm very selective at what I allow myself to consume media-wise.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go on the news and hear about a shooting here and a shooting there, or not just shootings, but just any bad things like animal abuse or child abuse, things like that. I acknowledge how awful it is, but if I allow myself to consume that type of media over and over, I'm going to drag myself down into the anxiety and depression pit, and I don't want to be there.
Yeah, and I don't blame you, and I think a lot of people are in that same boat now. That's why we don't really watch the news. I mean, we will pay attention occasionally, but not all the time, because it seems like, it just kind of builds that negativity into your subconscious, and it kind of, you start to just feel almost losing a sense of hope in a way, and it does make your anxiety worse. And there's millions of people now that are getting anxiety disorders, which at that point of an anxiety disorder, it's when you can't really function normally. Normal anxiety is whatever most people feel. But then once you get into that disorder, that's when you starts affecting your sleep. It's affected my sleep before. It makes it difficult to concentrate, to focus on different things. It makes it difficult to interact with other people too. Social anxiety, some people have it worse than others, but it's not beyond fixing it, I suppose, because that's something I'm working on too. It's difficult, yes, but it can be done. It just, once you get to that point where you think to yourself, okay, something has got to change, then you can start changing that, start retraining your brain too, which is going to take time. And you can't really do it alone, which that's also my thing, is trying to fix that and heal that anxiety and get better from it. But it is going to take some time to do so. So with that being said, shall we take a break then?
Sure.
All right, so we'll take a break, and then once we come back from the break, we'll go over some different ways that I have used to help me with my anxiety, and other people have used for their anxiety as well. And if you wish to apply them, then you can.
Sounds good.
All right, welcome back.
That's good to be back.
So before we talked about, anxiety and how it affects people, and now we're going to go over some techniques and tools that can be used to help you manage your anxiety and cope with it. And kind of hopefully move on and live a better quality of life with that.
Okay.
So first and foremost, I think the most important thing for anybody suffering from anxiety, especially extreme anxiety, is to seek out professional help, like mental health counselor, and find someone in your area, or even if you have to drive a bit, it would be worth it to talk to a professional and have them help you with that as well.
And there's also professionals and this might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it might be somebody's first choice, is online counseling. There are a lot of counselors that you can text, or you can call, or you can Skype with, instead of actually physically going to the office. And some people's anxiety might be agoraphobia, like the fear of going outside, and they get anxious about thinking about going outside. So it just depends kind of on the person, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it'll depend on your level of comfortability, of course.
Yeah.
Even if you do want to do that online counseling or texting counseling as kind of a way to ease into it, then by all means. And so whatever works best for you and will ultimately help you
Yeah.
to recover. I went to see a psychologist here locally, and just recently, actually, probably
Mm-hmm.
within the last
Probably
couple
about
months.
a month, I say.
Yeah, so probably about a month ago,
Yeah.
and because it was getting to the point that my anxiety was, felt like it was getting worse, and my
Mm-hmm.
sleep was suffering more.
Mm-hmm.
My my relationship with people was suffering too.
Mm-hmm.
Just my overall quality of life was not what I wanted it to be and what it should be.
Right.
And so that's when I went to seek out mental health
Mm-hmm.
counselor, and I mean it's been great actually. It's definitely been helpful. It kind of it helps put a different perspective on it, I suppose. It's you can't trying to do it alone doesn't always work very well. People think that they can. I thought that I could take care of it on my own for a long time too,
Mm-hmm.
but it never really got better until I went to go get help. And since then, it kind of set something off, and it's like, okay, well, this is doable. I can do this. I can get better, and I will get better.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is probably the most important thing, is to go find help and
Yeah.
talk to somebody that can help you or give you resources or set you off on the right path
Mm-hmm.
to bettering yourself and living a better life.
Yeah. I think that's definitely worth exploring, finding a professional. It's good to that if you have somebody to talk to, it's good to just talk about it in general, but definitely finding a professional that is trained in helping cope with anxiety and finding ways to help you get over things is definitely worth it.
Definitely. It
Mm-hmm.
will definitely help and change your life.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that was big for me was changing your diet. Not
Oh yeah.
necessarily just dieting, but I suppose more of a lifestyle change as far
Mm-hmm.
as eating, not
Yeah.
just going on a diet. Because people, I feel like when they go on a diet, they kind of it seems to fail because
Or it adds more anxiety into the
yeah, you
situation.
feel like you're limiting yourself even more, and then your
Yeah.
brain is just like, oh, I can't do
Right.
this. But it has definitely helped once.
So what did you eat like before, and how did you change your diet to help with your anxiety?
Before, most of my diet was, I guess you could say, junk food.
Uh-huh.
Like I ate a lot of frozen pizzas, frozen dinners, and this was even growing up. I, from what I remember, was I go to the freezer and get a frozen pizza and put it in the oven and
Mm-hmm.
eat that. Or I was I was addicted to mozzarella sticks for a long
Oh
time.
yeah, yeah. I remember when you first moved out here, you were addicted to Doritos. You could down a bag of Doritos in like less than a day.
I could, but that was only making issues worse for me. Like not only was my body under all this stress, anxiety, and stress, but I was causing even more stress on my body by eating this
Mm-hmm.
junk food that wasn't really giving me much in the way of nutrition,
Right.
and I was eating a lot more
But all
of
empty
fairly
calories
there's just
and
nothing
just
that was really
nothing.
good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started eating mostly like whole foods
Like fresh chicken breast and steaks and potatoes and vegetables and like nothing super processed. I mean, still occasionally some processed stuff, but not
not
nearly,
as much.
not like a bag of Doritos.
No, I don't really eat much, like, I guess, junk food really anymore. I'll have an occasional ice cream, but not much.
Yeah, well, we
Without
don't have it
eating
in the
much.
house, so that helps.
But it is mostly eating meats like steak, like small portions of steak or
Mm-hmm.
chicken, and monitoring my portion sizes as well. That helps too, because eating too large of meals didn't help me really
Right.
either. Um,
And also, the
rice.
quality of food will sometimes fill you up better than if you ate
Yeah.
a bag of junk food.
It will. It did leave me feeling fuller longer,
Mm-hmm.
and just making sure that you get nutrient dense foods helps, like
Yeah.
incorporating rice and meats. And I also did eat a lot more vegetables like broccoli, asparagus, and fruits like apples, oranges, blueberries. Those have all been things that I enjoyed eating and seemingly helped me more dealing with anxiety
Right.
and giving me more nutrition that I needed. And that has been a big thing for me as well. But one of the other things that has definitely helped a lot has been more exercise.
Yeah. Physical activity, for sure.
I've always been active physically off and on throughout my life. Like I played sports in high school and I was pretty active in that, but after high school it kind of fluctuated off and on, back and forth. Wasn't really consistent with it, but now being more consistent with that and going to the gym. Oh, now I have my garage set up to be my gym. So it makes it that much easier to just walk out to the garage and go out there and work out.
Yeah.
And not have everybody getting in the way. And I go...
Not having the anxiety of going to the gym, because that's where I was when I first started.
Yeah, and that definitely didn't help. And that's something that is I'm working on more as well.
Yeah.
But working out almost every day, and mostly I work out 5 days a week at a minimum. And sometimes I'll do a morning workout and an afternoon workout. Other days I'll just do one strength training workout in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And just getting active and being physical like that, lifting weights and running, even going for a jog through like your park, whatever, that helps to clear your mind. For me, also when I'm feeling particularly anxious or feel like I'm about to have a panic attack, my chest tightens up and everything starts getting lightheaded. I get really dizzy. And these just come out of nowhere for me, these panic attacks. And that's another thing that I was dealing with for quite a while. It comes with high levels of anxiety. And when I feel like, sometimes when I'm out in the gym and I don't feel like that coming on, I'll just go up against the wall and kind of walk up the wall and do a handstand up against that.
Oh, okay. So you're literally on your hands upside down.
Yeah.
With your feet up on the wall.
All the blood goes rushing to your head.
Yeah.
And it's hard to focus on your problems.
You really have to concentrate when you're doing like a move like that.
It's hard to concentrate on your problems when you're trying to hold yourself up and not come crashing down to your face.
True. Yeah.
So,
I can definitely see that.
That has helped me.
And I think I've heard a couple of crashes out there every once in a while.
Well,
not lately, but when you first started, I was like, should I go and check on him and see what's going on?
I'll be all right.
He's good. I hear more movement. It's okay. I don't have to get up.
I'm still alive.
Yeah. Okay, so we've covered some coping mechanisms like seeking help, professional help, changing the way that you eat, like lifestyle change, not just a diet or temporary change, and also to do some physical activity. What else? Is there anything else that you can think of?
So one other thing that I started getting into and wasn't just getting exposed to a little bit here and there. I wasn't really sure what it was at first, but ASMR was one thing.
Yeah.
So ASMR is Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response.
I can never remember that. Meridian response?
Yes.
Okay.
And basically what it is in reaction to whispers or mechanical sounds or wet or dry sounds.
Should we try it? Should we try it real quick? Welcome to the Enlightened Mind Podcast.
Something like that, yes. And it is, and in response to those noises, like whispers or sounds, like your brain will start to tingle, or at least some people have different
reactions,
different effects. Like I don't think two people are going to experience the same effects from it. And not everyone is necessarily going to experience ASMR, or it may take a while finding different triggers that would work for that person.
You know, I've always been drawn to the sound of like clicking or like typing.
Yeah.
You know, those clicking noises is what really gets my motor going or whatever, you know? It's like, oh, I love that noise. I need to hear more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And works up very, very well for dealing with anxiety and stress. Just that release of endorphins and I believe serotonin into your brain in response to these sounds really helps put you into like a blissful state. It helps you to feel calm. Some people just go into a state of bliss, so their brain just kind of quiets.
So it like forgets, your brain doesn't have time to think about the anxiety because it's thinking about this sound.
Well, and it's more like this ASMR is like a soothing effect, you know, kind of like a parent, almost like a parent would have given you as a child.
Okay.
It's kind of like that soothing feeling.
It's like a feeling, okay.
And that has been something that I listen to from time to time when I get anxious and I do a couple different things and try to relieve that. And that has been one thing that has helped.
That's good to know. That might be a resource that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, it's like just a simple YouTube search for
but
ASMR.
Do you have to be careful? Because it can sound a little different. ASMR, you know, all these abbreviations these days. But there's probably a lot of different channels out there. What would you recommend?
So one channel that I would recommend is a GB ASMR. Is GIBI ASMR. Just type simple YouTube search and it'll bring it up. And you can search other channels as well and find what works best for you.
I'm gonna have to do some late night research.
And lastly, the one other thing that is important during this, especially during a panic attack, is to remember to try to breathe.
Yeah,
like
breathing
taking
is important.
into your nose and out through your mouth. Like just taking a deep breath and hold it for a few seconds and let it out slowly.
I'm going to be doing a lot of breathing when I'm in labor in a few months.
So she is pregnant with...
Yeah. I'm 28 weeks yesterday, or Saturday, I guess. So in 12 more weeks, hopefully, then we'll have a baby boy floating around the house.
We sure will. For terrorizing the house.
That's a whole nother episode, whole nother leveling of anxiety happening there. But we'll just it's our first, so we'll have to see how it goes. But
it is our first, but yes, it'll be quite exciting.
But yeah, breathing. So in through your nose, out through pursed lips is what I've heard.
Yeah, it's out through your mouth and just do it slowly. And it may take several minutes of doing this to kind of help relax. But you gotta get air into your lungs and get it all relaxed.
Well, and it's good for your brain, right? I mean, obviously it's good for your brain. I mean, breathing is a thing that we do.
It is.
That we don't have to think about, but...
It is quite important.
But yeah, so like, if you're feeling overly anxious, it's good to just stop and, you know, goose fraba, you know, just a couple big breaths like that, I think. Because that helps me. Like, I was breathing so much on that drive that I had when I experienced my panic attack anxiety thing that I was pretty sure that I was going to float my car away because it was like a hot air balloon in there. But a lot of breathing happened. And it did help, actually. I mean, it helped me kind of calm down enough that I could manage my situation until it was over. And then I just freaked out and cried. And I did feel better after crying. But, you know, once I got to my destination and I felt safe, I was in a place where I could just release my emotions. And that helps me a lot, is being able to release my emotions.
Yeah.
And there's lots of different methods that people use for that, but breathing is definitely helpful.
Well, do you have anything else to share?
I don't know. I think that's about it. I think we covered everything.
I think that's pretty well.
Well, not everything.
Not everything. It's
but everything that we wanted to touch on. Yeah.
Yes. So basically, we need to, if he's feeling anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
just go find professional help. Go see a mental health
It's
counselor.
as easy as a Google search.
Google search, call around, or
Yep, phone
even
book.
do just the online counseling too if you feel
Mm-hmm.
more comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Diet,
Yeah,
eating more
definitely.
whole foods, especially fruits and vegetables. Those are probably the most important things to incorporate
Mm-hmm.
more of into your diet.
Yeah.
Exercise,
Mm-hmm.
like just a simple jog or running. Just make sure to get some exercise built into your day, even just half an hour. ASMR, autonomous sensory meridian response.
Mm-hmm.
Just simple YouTube search,
Mm-hmm.
or even Spotify has some available on there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, just remember to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we thank you all for listening to Enlightened Mind podcast.
Yeah. Be sure to follow us on Instagram. My handle is at Melitenniv, MELITENNIV. And yours is?
And I am Garret_Tennyson.
Okay, so that's one T on Garret.
Yes.
GARRET_TENNISON. So
that is correct.
You can follow us over there, and be sure to subscribe or follow our podcast for more episodes. We hope to be putting out twice a week. That's our goal.
Thank you all for listening.
Thanks so much. We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.